company called El Hydro Limited. Last Friday on this program, a caller, a regular caller, I literally gave him the name Comrade and spell it when I do COMRED. From I started doing this program. And he came last Friday and came at me with reports of some postings on social media about a company that brought the buses into Jamaica. If you were listening, you'd have heard the long conversations I had with Comrade, because my initial understanding of the issue taken by the opposition PNP with the rural bus service had nothing to do with procedural matters, but it became an empty and ugly political attack. And I didn't particularly appreciate the position then taken by the PNP and gave my views on it last Friday. So when he brought the issue of these letters on social media to my attention, I said, well, if there are other issues raised concerning procurement or whatever, I'm not inclined to close my eyes to those. But I'm not really very interested in a lot of what goes on, particularly because of the role of artificial intelligence in the communication of today and how it can distort, particularly in a heightened political season, how things that appear to be authentic can emanate from great doctored sources with the intention to deceive. Anyway, within the luncheon break, I had a quick search of social media and found these letters that Comrade brought to my attention. And when I saw them, I made contact with one of the individuals either named in the letter or had some part to the letter, signatory or otherwise. And in fact, one of the persons I contacted said they couldn't speak because he was in a meeting. The other one, getting the call from me, message to say he's also in a meeting, can't speak, but will send the responses. I read that. I read out the responses on radio, only to realize, based on the heading of the document that I was sent, that the questions that were being answered, they really relate to questions sent by the Jamaica Gleaner to either the Ministry of Transport or the Trade Board or whatever. But I read them out. I couldn't make any comment on the contents because when I'm reading something sort of dry, it takes a little while to internalize, and I try not to comment on matters unless I have some appreciation or I'm asking some questions that I believe can further elucidate the point. Anyway, it was when I got off air and one of my colleagues called me that I realized that ATI requests were sent to the appropriate entity concerning this importation, and the answers I got on Friday, they were really those responses. And then I saw in the Sunday Gleaner now the publication by the Gleaner of the story on A4, and the headline, the front page headline, is that this company got 1.4 billion school bus contract without dealer status, not certified. And the company confirmed submitting unsolicited proposal. And I thereafter got a reply from the Ministry of Transport, Darrell Vaz's reply to this particular article. And I think it's of some import. I will read some portions of the article and perhaps some portions of Darrell Vaz's response, but it is of some import to aid our understanding that we get some more answers on this matter. I'm quite interested as well, especially since the issue concerning that drill, the neuro drill that was bought by this company for and on behalf of SARA, the Southeast Regional Health Authority. And issues have been raised about the cost of the drill. And we've been fed through Dr. Dawes, the opposition spokesman on health, a website where if the drill was sourced directly from an entity in the United States, he claims we could have had it for substantially lower than the price that was actually paid by SARA, or the price that is to be paid by SARA to the company that actually sold them the drill. In this instance, in relation to the bus as well, the buses, we are being told that the buses are really brought in on behalf of the Ministry of Transport. But even to facilitate the importation of those buses into Jamaica, a company had to be engaged. And that company was engaged because it is, I heard the minister say, the manufacturer or the agent of this particular entity in the United States. And as a result of this company being engaged to import the buses, not for resale in Jamaica, but literally landing and handing them over for the rural bus transportation system, then some things that would normally apply under the motor vehicle import policy, then those things do not apply in this instance. And I think it's important for us to better understand how the systems operate and why do they operate that way. Who is actually representing the correct position so that we can know how to evaluate what is in front of us. The other thing is, I think I saw a snippet of somebody on social media saying he has the receipts, and the receipts show the buses as costing a ridiculously low sum. So the questions were, this plus others, how is it that we are being told one unit cost 12 point something when, based on the invoice, these are the costs overall and these are the costs for individual units? So I think it's good for us to understand, and I hope to get some answers during the course of the program, the different fees that are built into items that are purchased in whatever jurisdiction, and the cost, insurance, how are the insurance fees calculated, the issue of freight, when you hear them talk about CIF, cost insurance freight, what are they talking about? And separate and apart from those, are there import duties that have to be paid on items coming into the jurisdiction? And if there are import duties, what are the laws governing these import duties? And are there waivers? If there are waivers, what law is it that we look to see what the waivers are? And the mere fact that a ministry or a department of government is having some item brought in for and on their behalf, do those ministries or agencies become beneficiaries of waiver from government for those items that are being imported on their behalf? And when we get the clarity on these issues, I believe that we can know how and when to immediately being said now, and a lot of what will be said in the future. Yeah? And I don't think, certainly from the opinions being proffered, I don't believe that we yet fully understand how systems work, why they work the way they work. And I hope to get those answers for you on the program here today. I understand through a news item as well that the company El Hydro is contemplating some legal course of action. I do not yet know who the attorney for El Hydro is, but I'd certainly like to better understand the reason for this particular posture, and what is it that what clarity is it that they believe that we need to have, and to further explain what damage has been done to them as they are alleging. To my mind, these things are not only crucial, they are extremely crucial for every single one of us to understand, because government doesn't simply function in a way that fosters efficiency, but procedures have been put in place for good reason, for good measure over the years. And unless we, particularly we in mainstream media, take the time to understand how, what laws, why they operate when an item is being sold by an entity for $50 when it comes to Jamaica, that's not going to be the final price. Why? Why can't the Ministry of Transport go directly to a company in the United States and buy these buses? Why do they have to go to somebody else? Until we understand those matters, then I don't know that we are sufficiently furthering and serving our constituents, which happen to the people of not only this country, but those who listen from other jurisdictions. So help me get those answers on the program today. I hope to do so. So keep listening. This is the hotline.